Hello and welcome to a new tier list on the channel. Today I will be ranking workout splits and all the different ideologies people have within their splits. And I'll start the video off with Mike Manzer's split. Now he didn't really come out and say what he does, but we do have a general idea. He was a very big fan of high intensity quick workouts, which is great, but he was a little bit too big of a fan. And while that ideology is great on paper, you shouldn't go to the extreme. And in my opinion, he went to the extreme. By promoting things like only training once every 30 days or 30 minutes per session. And to me, even though that might be intense, it's still not great for hypertrophy. Having a little bit longer workouts will get you much farther. So because sometimes he pushed this idea to the extreme, I'll only put this in decent tier. His general philosophy is great, but you shouldn't follow it to the extreme. And many people like to call Mike Manzer as a minimalist, which is the next tier. But he was not really a minimalist. He did some quote-unquote exotic exercises that the minimalists don't promote. A minimalist program would be to do the bare minimum, both in terms of intensity and exercises, just being a little bit above the threshold to grow. But you can know for sure if you're above it. Sometimes your workout can become way too simple. A minimalist approach is great at the beginning, but the more you advance, the more you have to pay attention to the details. And a minimalist approach is just the surface level stuff. At some point you'll have to isolate your forearms, your brachial and things like that. So just like Manzer's split, this is a decent split. I know those are not really lifting splits, they're more like lifting ideologies, but I'll get into the splits in a bit. And the opposite extreme is being a maximalist. Lifters who are maximalists focus too much on the details, while the minimalists are focused too much on the surface level stuff and need to zoom in to improve. The maximalists need to do the complete opposite. They are focused too much on the details that they miss the bigger picture, and they need to zoom out. Those are the people who want to hit their chest from every single angle with every single cable exercise, while they miss the fact that their chest would grow if only they benched more. So for that I put the maximalist category in the bad split tier. The reason why this is below those two is because a minimalist workout typically takes shorter than a maximalist workout. So at least those people don't spend 2 hours at the gym. And minimalists tend to get better gains in the long run anyways, because they focus on only a few basic movements, while the maximalist has too many movements. Now, an actual split that I'll be talking about now is the bro split. A very popular and overhated split in my opinion. People say that it is the worst split ever just because in this split you only train your muscles once a week. But at the same time, some of those people follow the advice of only training 30 minutes per session. With the bro split, at least you can focus on that body part throughout the whole session. And it can really help people like beginners get their mind-muscle connection right. And plus it's also a very fun split. But it does have its flaws, like I said before. You train your whole body only once a week, and you're giving your muscles too much time to recover. But that also means that you can go harder and push yourself to the limit. So its drawbacks can be turned into advantages if you think about it. But I still wouldn't say this is a good split. But it can be fun. And you can progress on it, and you can get really big on it. Most people who go to the gym are still on a bro split, and some look good even though they don't train quote-unquote optimally. But I'll put it at the top of decent, because it's not a bad split. For some, this might be the best split, with some adjustments of course. I'll have to see at the end of the video if I want to move it up to the good split category. But it's probably gonna be either the best in decent or the worst in good. Now the next split will be the calisthenics split, so people who use no free weights at all, but I'll still consider weighted calisthenics as calisthenics. I've noticed that people who only do calisthenics are either really jacked or really small. There's no really in between with those people. They either look like they don't lift with a shirt on or they look absolutely jacked. And that's probably because those people who look jacked do weighted calisthenics, and they probably also go to the gym. But what I mean is that you can get very jacked with just calisthenics, since you can mimic just about any weighted compound movement with calisthenics. Though arm isolation and leg isolation might be a bit tricky, but if you have a good program consisting of pull-ups, handstand push-ups, push-ups, dips, you'll get far with it. Calisthenics athletes are also especially jacked in the abs department, because every movement they do recruits their core. And there is a reason why those people at the park who just do pull-ups have way bigger backs than people at the gym, because doing calisthenics gets you jacked. So I'll put it in the good split category. It's a good idea to have a calisthenics split if you can only do that, but if you can do free weights as well, why not combine them both? Do weighted calisthenics and free weights. That's how you get the best of both worlds. That's why I can't put it any higher. The next one will be the no rest day split. And this could depend if it's a good idea or not. If you do compound movements every day and push to failure every single time, it's not a good idea to have this kind of split. But if that day that was supposed to be a rest day, it's a day where you just train your forearms, or you do some calves, or you do cardio, that can be a good split. You gotta have some days where you don't squat, bench, deadlift. If you just have something that's not as high of an effort, it's a good idea to have this kind of split. Like going for a swim or a run instead of resting the whole day. But I know that some people want to have a full rest day, which is fine. So I'll put this in the good split category. As long as you do something that is not too difficult, that won't tax your recovery, you shouldn't worry about it. It can actually help you recover faster. Now the next split will be the one where you specialize in a certain muscle group. So if for example you have big biceps, but your triceps are lacking, you might want to start a specializing phase. You might want to add an extra arm day or transform a day into an arm day, having a closer grip on your bench, adding more exercises to that muscle group, training it more times a week, or beginning the session with it rather than putting it at the end. All of those are ways to specialize in a certain muscle group. By knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, that's how you can create the perfect split for you. By knowing that, okay, maybe my chest is good, but my shoulders are small compared to it. So I should start a specializing phase. Or I should train my upper chest more, whatever you find your physique lacks. But specializing in a muscle group is one of the best ways to create the best split for you. So that's why it's in the S tier. I do want to add a disclaimer here and tell you that this is not for beginners. You shouldn't specialize on something because everything is weak. You don't need to focus too much on one body part in particular. But this is a great thing to do the more you advance, because you will naturally create some imbalances. Now let's get into actual splits. First one we have here is the full body split. Many people say that it's for beginners, but it can be for advanced lifters as well. Everybody can benefit from it. It's an old school split. Many people have done it, many people still do it. As long as you have different focuses for every day, this can be a great split. But if you train 3 days a week, full body, and each day you start with some sort of a bench press, and then you go ahead and do some sort of row, that's not the way to do it. You should specialize a bit in every day. Just because you're training your full body, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't specialize on some areas rather than others on different days. And that also means that you don't have to hit everything on every day. Even though it's a full body, you can have some days where you don't hit some muscle groups. You just need to hit most of them, not all of them. But still program so that you do hit all of them throughout the week. But with that being said, full body is a good split. And just like with the bro split, you can tweak it and make it the best split. Now the next split is probably the most popular split. It's the push-pull leg split. Everybody has done it, everybody knows of it. But is it really that good? Well, usually a push-pull legs is programmed as a 6 days a week split, which for some people is too much, especially if they want to do cardio or have other things to do. Another thing that I don't like about it, as opposed to the full body split, is that it doesn't promote supersets. Push-pull legs is not a super good split for time management, just like the bro split, because a lot of time will be wasted just resting. But aside from that, it is a good split. You have quite a bit of time to focus on each muscle group, and it's overall a pretty fun split. But because you'll be wasting a lot of time if you have this split, I'll only put it in the good split category. I know a lot of you will say this is a great split or maybe even the best split, but to me it's good. It's above decent, it's good. It's a good split, but it lacks some important things to me. It also doesn't help that a lot of push-pull legs programs are really bad. But to me a push-pull legs is just as good or maybe a little bit worse than a full body. But that's my opinion, both of them are good splits. Now another good split is the Arnold split. You can't see Arnold here, but that's Arnold. And this is more of a combination of a push-pull legs and an upper-lower. It's very similar to a push-pull legs in the fact that you train 6 days a week as well. But the key difference is that you're gonna train antagonist muscle groups. So instead of training chest, shoulders and triceps, you're just gonna do chest and back. And then you're gonna bundle the whole arm together by doing shoulders and arms. By doing this, you'll achieve something that a push-pull legs does not achieve, and that's having an arm day. On a push-pull legs, typically, you do triceps and biceps at the end, which is nothing wrong with that, but you do need to have a day where you are focused on the arms, where they are the main priority if you really want them to grow. And the Arnold split does that, while not taking away any of the benefits of the push-pull legs. But this split is not for everybody, because some people can train triceps a day after a chest day, or rather a chest and back day. Because on that chest and back day, you'll also train your shoulders, triceps and biceps. You'll just not do any isolation at the end. But some people are fine with training these muscles back to back, especially because most people don't feel their shoulders or triceps on bench at all. So if you enjoy the push-pull leg split, I'd say definitely try out the Arnold split. You may find that you like it more. Not to mention that now you will save more time because you have the opportunity to do superset. Whereas on a push-pull leg split you can't superset. Unless you want to superset something like forearms, calves, abs or neck. Those muscles should be sprinkled in your program when it makes sense. And the next split I have here is the upper-lower split. The upper-lower split is a full body cut in half, or a push-pull leg split with the push and pull together. And the benefits of having a split like this is that you'll have less training days, which can be very beneficial. And you'll get the other benefits of being able to superset and everything that I talked about earlier. If you want to try this split out and you have a push-pull legs, you can combine your push and pull workout. And then you might say that that's gonna take like 3 hours, that's why you superset them. If you want a push day, your first exercise bench, and on a pull day your first exercise is pull-ups, On your upper day, you're gonna do bench supersetted with pull-ups, and you do that throughout the whole workout. You just combine 2 days into one, and you get a free day while still keeping all the benefits, and also getting some cardio benefits, because supersetting is quite hard, at the beginning at least. And if you feel like 4 days of training is too little, you can add an arm day, and that's how you really make an amazing split. Upper lower arms rest, and then upper lower rest. Yeah, that's a great split. Now the next split will be the athlete split. If the gym is not the only thing you do, you'll have to plan your split accordingly. You can't do a push-pull leg 6 times a week while also doing boxing. That doesn't really work, trust me, I tried. If you're an athlete or you do any kinds of other sports, you'll need to either have an upper-lower split or a full body split, because going to the gym every day won't really make that much sense. But you can still become very jacked by doing a sport and still going to the gym. Don't let other people tell you that just because you do a sport you can get jacked, because you can be good at that sport and also be jacked. And it's a cool split to have in general, to be an athlete and also go to the gym. Now the next one is a more complex split. This one is the conjugate split. And conjugate training consists of a lot of maxing out, but it does focus on hypertrophy as well. So by nature, because this is a hypertrophy tier list, this won't be the best split to have. But many people have seen great results from having a conjugate style of training. But when you max out on this split, and you do max out pretty often, you're cutting yourself off of some hypertrophy gains. But it's a good split. Now that I'm seeing this tier list though, I'm gonna move up those free splits. Yeah, it's a lot better now. Because those splits, even though in my opinion they're worse than upper lower, they're still pretty close to it. So it's only fair that all of them are great splits. Now the next one is the gym bro split. And this is basically when you go to the gym with one of your friends and you do what they do. You're not really doing your program, or maybe you're doing 50-50, some things that he does, some things that you do, but overall you wouldn't be doing this normally. It's fun to train with them, but just don't do it every time. That's if they're not at your level and you don't really like the exercises that you're doing. You should craft your own program, because chances are that your beliefs will be different, and your lifting level will probably also be different. So I'll put this in the bad split category. Now we got the adaptable split. In this split, no day is really set in stone, and no exercise either, but you do have certain goals that you need to reach every month or every week. It's not like this is a lazy split by any means, but this is for people who have busy programs that sometimes can't get in a workout, but they know that they can find time on another day. This is great because they never miss sessions. They might change the way they do things to adapt to their program, or they might change the days where they train, but at the end of the month they still reach their goals. So I can't knock this kind of split. The next one is the lazy split. And I don't mean people who don't work out at all. I mean lazy lifters. People who know they should do more volume, but are too lazy for it. They know that they're supposed to go to failure, but don't really want to do it, or they program in such a way that it's lazy. So back to the Mike Manser example, some people might be lazy and say that they're like Mike Manser, that the reason their workout is 40 minutes is because Mike Manser said it. But in reality they're just too lazy to spend an hour at the gym. So I'll put this split in the trash split category, because at least all those other splits above think that they're doing something good. On this lazy split, they know that they should be doing more, they just don't want to do it. And they find excuses for why their workout sucks. People who only train during the weekends. And I'm guessing the best split you'd have for that would be an upper-lower. Or for some leg day skippers it would be a push and pull. But the idea is the same. You only train once a week. A lot of people are forced to have this kind of split because they don't have time during the week. And I get that, but you can't expect to make the best gains with it. Because even though in the bro split you're training once a week as well, at least in the bro split you focus more on each muscle group. On this split you still have an upper lower or push and pull. You still don't have something like an arm day, which a bro split has. That's why the weekend split would be the worst in the decent split category. Or it could be the best in the bad split category, depending on how you look at it. The next one is the no leg day split. And this one really depends if it's bad or not. Because some people don't train legs because they don't want to. Because they don't want to have big legs. And they'd rather do cardio or something else on those days. And if that's the case, then this would be a good split. But I know that some people skip leg days because it's hard. And they lie to themselves and say that they don't actually want big legs, but they also hate their chicken legs. And for those people, it would be a trash split. Because you shouldn't skip legs because it's hard. You should skip legs if you don't want big legs, not because it's hard. That's kind of crazy. So I'll average it out and put it in a bad split. Because I think that most lifters skip legs because it's too hard, not because they want to do cardio on those days. Now the next one is no isolation. So that means no curls, no extensions, no pushdowns, no lateral raises. You just do your compounds and then you get out. Obviously not a good idea. You'll quickly have an unbalanced physique. You'll only have chest, legs and back. Not a very desirable physique in my opinion. So I'd put this one in the trash split. So I'll put this one in the bad split. This is like skipping legs, but you're skipping biceps and triceps and every other small muscle group. And those muscles are not even hard to train. But most people who have this kind of splits don't skip them because they want to skip them. They skip them because they think that compounds are enough to get big arms, but they'll find out that that's not the case. Now the next one would be a roidy split. I know I'm not very inspired with these names, but they're not really splits. But they kind of are. This is a split where people focus too much on the pump. So every exercise is placed in there to see if it provides a good pump or not. And if it doesn't, they don't do it. And they do a lot of reps and not that many compounds. Kinda the opposite of this. In this they skip isolation, in this they kind of skip compounds. You'd find many splits like this from old bodybuilders and people who mostly promoted the pump. But nowadays nobody really has a split like this. Just training for 3 hours, getting the pump. This one of course is a bad split. It might be good if you're on steroids, but this is a natural bodybuilding channel. So I don't really care to rank it for steroid users. This tier list is for naturals anyways. Now this split is the no split. It's literally that, not having any kind of split. Just going in and doing whatever. Yesterday I did chest, tomorrow I might do biceps, I don't know. In 3 days I might do legs, or not. Or I might have a random push day at some point. You know, don't really know what you're doing. Obviously a trash split. And the next one is kind of similar, but this is when you do know the split, you just don't know the exercises. So you know that you're supposed to hit your back, biceps and chest today, but you don't really know what you're gonna do. This one can be a very good split for advanced lifters, but this one is a very high skill gap split, so I'll put it in the decent tier. You need to have a very good structured program for this, and from those exercises you're gonna choose, you need to know them very well. And the final split, don't mind this because this is something I put on accident. The final split is the split that doesn't put you in a box. That means that the skeleton of the split might be an upper lower, but you might train your back on your leg day, or you might do some cardio on your upper body day. You're not boxed in just because the split is named in a certain way. And this split is the split that you craft. You cannot find it somewhere else. It's with your favorite exercises and your favorite techniques. And this split is created over many years of training, and it constantly changes, even if it's just by a little bit. But by that I don't mean that changing it up every month or so just because you feel like it. You change it when you change your goals, or when you feel like you need to tweak something. But this is the split that will get you the farthest, that doesn't box you in any category.